Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. Anton here, bringing you some of the daily news that comes in and around West Ham at this time of the season. But there's a bit of a serious story going on, and it is a genuinely serious story. And if you haven't had a chance to look into it, it's regarding some changes in relation to the season ticket prices that's going on at West Ham. So for some of you who do watch, who live abroad, who are not aware of the situation, we're going to bring someone on, I'll tell you who it is in a second, who can give us a little bit more further information on what currently happens and what the club have put in place without seeking advice or support from the fan base, which is really key, which is the key part in my opinion here. So if you've got any questions, put it on. We'll be short and sweet. We'll get straight to the point. So the guest I'd like to bring on, you may have seen him from other places on social media. He's part of the fans group Hammers United. He was also on TalkSport yesterday. So we'll bring on Paul Cobourn as part of Hammers United. Paul, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me on. Much appreciated.
No worries at all. Now, listen, for anyone that doesn't know, Paul, just can you give an explanation of who you are, what Hammers United is, just from your kind of point of view, and then we can get cracking.
Sure. Hammers United is the largest independent democratic fan group, 20,000 or so members. I'm the chairman. I'm democratically elected every year. We have a committee of 12, but fully affiliated to the FSA. This, however, is not a programme to recruit members for Hammers United. Listen, this programme is purely to talk about the scandalous changes the club's proposed on concession tickets. And I have to say, this movement, this campaign, is far bigger than Hammers United. There's just about every Facebook page, fan group, blogger. We play a prominent part. But we had a meeting last night, and there were people from all over on that meeting. So this is far from being a Hammers United campaign. This is a West Ham United fans campaign.
Yep. For anyone that doesn't know, myself and Paul had a kind of brief conversation beforehand, and this actually physically would impact a family member of mine, just to give people a bit of context, and we'll get into that in a little bit of a second. But essentially, it's all really about pricing out a specific fan, and it feels like a kind of target on their back. Paul, so just for anyone that doesn't know, do you mind just giving a little explainer of exactly what this situation looks like?
Simply, it reads that any new season ticket holder who would be 66 or over will still not be able to have a concession unless they go into band 5 or 6. Any new season ticket holder who would want an under 18 or under 21 concession ticket could only have one in band 5 or 6. But let's look into exactly what this means. I think you have an example regards your father.
Yeah,
so
I do.
I'll let you come in on that. Go on.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't realize, and maybe we can help you by giving you an example. So my dad, as people are aware from watching the channel, season ticket holder for several years, well, many a year, and gave it up due to a bit of ill health. The key factor for the move, and one of the biggest decisions he made, was he had to have somewhere that had easy access. That was the key point for him, easy access. Now, my dad's a Londoner born and bred, and now we live in Scotland. So in terms of traveling, mine's a little bit more extreme because we have to add travel costs involved, but that shouldn't take away from the fact that even if you live local and you go to the game from this matter. So the key factor is, we did take him to a game once where we had to move his seat because it was a Europa League game, and traveling up the stairs was an absolute nightmare for him. So we got him into a specific band, i.e. it was band 3, which meant that he had least access, not as many steps to climb to watch the game. And he gave up a season ticket. And because of that, he's now not a current season ticket holder and is keen to look at bringing back his season ticket at band 3. So that's where I'm at. And the change of costs are ridiculous.
No. Okay, thanks. So let's use another example. A friend of mine, Lee, his grandfather was at the 1923 Cup final. His family were from East Ham, and they started going to West Ham in the early 20s. The natural progression we all have to live with, it's going to happen to us all, is at some stage you get too old to go anymore. So, some stage, grandfather stops going. By then, Lee's uncles, Lee's father, his dad, they go to West Ham in the 50s and 60s. And it's just about now come to the stage where they're not going anymore. Lee started going in the 70s, and Lee's still going. He's not a youngster anymore. He's not as old as me, but he certainly wouldn't be able to. He'd have trouble getting up those stairs in band 5 or 6. And Lee now wants to take his grandson. That's the natural progression. A lot of us went with our dad, our mum, grandparents,
Absolutely.
uncles, whatever. He can't, because what would have happened is Lee normally, until this season, they'd have added the grandchild onto the group, the family and the friends group, and they'd have got the ticket half price ish. Where we've got now is he's got to go in band 5 or 6. Well, firstly, Lee can't climb them stairs, so that's it. If he could, he's got all his friends, his cousins, and the family, and all the people that have sat there forever. They're still in band 3, so really, it's not going to happen. So Lee then has two choices. He pays double what he would have paid last year for the nipper, or he doesn't. And what will happen? Lee can't afford to pay that. So the grandchild who would have joined the family group and would have carried on the family tradition will not be going to West Ham. And the worst thing about this, in my view, and I hear where you're coming from, and tragedy about your dad, is the fact that a whole new generation of West Ham fans are going to be compromised. We're going to lose a whole generation. Now, there's something actually which is really even more annoying, arguably. West Ham fans, some, look to relocate. They might want a change of seat, change of angle. One of the main reasons, though, people relocate is because, let's face it, we're in a cost of living crisis and West Ham have put the prices up. And fair enough. I don't think anyone would expect them not to go up, though they went up between 6 and 14%, which is a lot more than inflation. The season before, they went up 8%, and the season before that was overinflation. So someone's going to relocate. What they're told by the club is the earlier you pay up and buy your season ticket, further up the list you'll be for first dibs at the new seats when you relocate. So you get someone, let's use an example, they're in band 2, they're a concession, so they would have paid 535 quid. It's getting a bit expensive for them. So what they're going to do, they're going to relocate to band 3 and they're going to save themselves 140 quid. So they ring West Ham up and say, right, relocating from band 2 or 3 to 2, 3, and they're expecting it to be 395, and they're told it's 790. And they say, well, what do you mean? And West Ham say, well, you're a new season ticket holder. I said, what do you mean I'm a new season ticket holder? I've been a season ticket holder for bloody years. Now, that wasn't told to people, was it? And so consequently, they're moving, if they go ahead, which they're not going to an inferior seat, and it's going to cost them, instead of 140 quid less, it's going to cost them 300 odd quid more. And I think that's really, really bad.
You're right, Paul. This goes back. I know we're here for this particular reason, but if anyone hasn't, TalkSport had you on yesterday, and I thought you gave your point across really well. Equally, though, we're very aware of how those media platforms work. You know, they know how to control the sound, the voice, let you when you talk, when you don't talk, all that sort of stuff. And this is the point of view, kind of going around the media groups as much as you possibly can, getting the message out there as much as you can. It does feel like it's a big smack on the back of the head, or a big target on the West Ham fans' heads. I mean, I think someone's done a little bit of a revenue check just to see what potential changes the club could earn from this what do you think the mindset is behind the club, and why do you think they? Because this is where I think some of the biggest issue comes from. The transparency from the club to the fans is what we lack massively, and maybe feeling that element of respect from the owners. I mean, what do you think the mindset is, and is it literally a case of we'll do what we want? I heard what Simon Jordan said. He said, they don't have a contractual agreement where they have to tell you, but that's not necessarily, we would love that, but we're not going to get that. But there comes a moment of being human. Humanity takes place, and respect as well. So just on that point, what's your thoughts, Paul?
Well, I think the big point is what price loyalty. That's the big point. But let's look at this. I would urge West Ham to do the right thing. And if people would say to me, well, why should we get on board with this campaign? I'd say, well, the most important thing is maybe to do the right thing and to support fellow Hammers, in particular, vulnerable supporters. But let's look at the money thing. They will tell you, well, if you want us to compete in the transfer market, etc., we've got to put these prices up and that. Listen, I'm not a financial expert, but it's my job. I've met financial experts. I've met probably the best financial expert on football. And he tells me, quote, these changes in concessions would probably pay Danny Ings' wages for a few weeks. West Ham don't have to do it. The money to them is small fry. The money now is not gate money. Gate money was 17% of West Ham's money income last year. The real money is telly money. We all know that. It's a drop in the ocean. It will not change West Ham virtually at all. But fans, your dad there, you're talking about an extra 400 quid. It will change your dad. Yeah. My friend Lee that I mentioned cost him 400 more quid. It's big for fans. Now, let's look at this another way. I'll tell you what they want. And this isn't just West Ham. This is across the Premier League. And we're working really, really closely. You wouldn't believe it, with fans across the Premier League. No doubt that the Premier League clubs have colluded. Well, the fans are colluding now. And when protests come, they will be protests right across the Premier League. Make no mistake about that.
I completely agree. And there is, for anyone that's not aware, there is a petition. Paul, I'm going to put the link in the chat just now. I'll put it in the description of the video. We'll promote it throughout. Can you tell us a little bit about the petition, what they can do?
Yeah, sure. I'll just finish my other point. Sorry, I should have probably kept talking. I'm not sort of into this world. If you really don't care about heritage and you don't care about tradition and you only care about money, let's turn it round. How many games have people out there been to at West Ham when the fans have won the game? Okay, I'll tell you one. When we won in the FA Cup in '75, we wouldn't have beat QPR in the 6th round without our fans. So forget the glory about winning the cup. How much money did that generate? When we beat Arsenal in the cup final in 1980, we wouldn't have got to the final without our fans at the quarter final, home to Villa. We wouldn't have done. So how much money did that generate? What about league positions? Who was there when we beat Spurs, when Spurs looked like they might win the league? There was no way they were going to win at Upton Park. We'd have blown that bloody ball out if it was coming towards our goal. How many points? How many points is David Gold's 12th man, the crowd? How many points and how much money have they won this club? And I'm telling you, if these proposals come through, and they'll come for more next year, and our fan base is watered down, and you come out of that soulless bowl to a murmur instead of a roar. What price on that? What price on that?
Yep. I completely agree. I've got some images which show you what the current prices compared to what the new proposed prices will look like. So as you can see there, let's just use band 3 as an example, which is in the kind of navy blue option. So if you are over 66 or under 21, you would currently be paying £395, but under the new proposals, you would then go up to £790. You can just see the dramatic change in price there. Again, let's look at band 2, £535 and then to sit in your same or to if you are new season ticket holder, it goes up over nearly double, £1,040. So it just gives you a clear indication at the price changes here. Now, remember what we're saying here is if you are a new season ticket holder and you are a concession and you're then forced to go to band 5 and band 6, you are asked to move your seat and to move to the higher part of the stadium, which does involve lots more steps. Trust me, I've been there. That's the first issue is the steps. The second issue is the view. But the first issue is getting people up there who can't physically get up there. And I've experienced people in that circumstances. I'm fit myself, but even getting up there, you're out of breath. You can't help it. It's quite a long way. So yeah, it's an absolute it's a disgrace. It is a disgrace because we as the fan base are not put at the forefront of this club by our owners. So I back this campaign. I back it. It's up to you if you want to back it, but I urge you to look into it a little bit more. I urge you to look into the stuff that Paul and Hammers United are doing with regards to this. I've put in the link in the chat. So just click on this link here. This takes you to the petition. Now, Paul, people may ask, oh, you're going to waste your time doing a petition. We've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt. I think once people realise that this is targeting sometimes quite possibly the most vulnerable West Ham fan, I think when people realise that, then you can get behind it, and a petition can go far away.
Before I come on to that, I mentioned some quotes from Karen Brady yesterday, and I said there were thousands relevant. Just very quickly from David Sullivan that's relevant to your dad. He spoke about when an old fella could go and watch football for £5. There's plenty of quotes like that. Listen, what the petition's done so far, it's due awareness to this.
Yeah.
It's not the football season. Them that are into football who are watching the Euros. One of my committee rang me up and they said a plumber came round yesterday in a West Ham shirt. She spoke to him about it. He didn't know anything about it at all.
Yeah.
How he did sign it then. But what it's done, it's raised awareness. I doubt very much I'd be on here but for the petition. I wouldn't have been on Talk Sport but for the petition. And the Athletic have run, I believe, some articles, and that wouldn't have happened but from the petition. We've had support right across the Premier League fan base, and I can't tell you how important that is. So I ask people that just do what's right. Just do what's right. Please support this. Support your own. That's what we've always done at West Ham. We've always stuck together, and that's what we need to do. And let me tell you something else. Last year, they increased the price from 65 to 66. They were the only club to do this, them and Villa. And the excuse was that the pension age, statutory pension age, had gone up to 66. Well, the other 18 clubs didn't adopt that thing. So Hammers United and the old school Hammers group did a petition. We got 5,000 or whatever. Frankly, most of the fan base didn't give a toss because it didn't affect them. And a guy dug me out on Facebook, and he's now come up and apologised and said you were right. Because what happened was there was no fuss last year, so they brought this in. And I'm telling you now, if there hadn't have been a fuss next year, God only knows where we'd have ended up.
Yeah.
God only knows. They'd very probably do away with all concessions. So you have to make a stand sometime. And this is what's going to happen. I will add, again, this is not a Hammers United thing. And the club can take this whatever way they want. But out there are writers, there are journalists, there are designers, there are filmmakers. And these people are working frantically in the background to promote this campaign.
Yep.
Let's use a West Ham term. This is going to be massive.
Yep.
So I'd urge everyone, please tell everyone about it and get on board. Thank you.
Will be. Before you go, Paul, Helen is a good example here. I'm 65 and next year should be getting a concession. Well, I have to change my seat to band 5 or 6, but don't they have people in these bands already? So the question I would say to you, Helen, is I can't remember if you said you're currently a season ticket holder or not. I can't remember what you said. So, but as Paul mentioned, the concession price has moved up. Age has moved up to 66, so you wouldn't qualify. Or next year you should be getting a concession, which is 66. Yes. And will I have to change my seat to band 5 or 6? So if you want a cheaper price from where you currently sit, then the answer to that question is yes, Paul, isn't it?
Well, there seems to be a lot of confusion about this. So let's, as it stands, if Helen has a seat in band 1 to 4,
She's Bobby Moore,
and is
but Billy Bond's upper. Sorry, that's where she is.
right. Okay, so she's not in band 5 or 6. As she is an existing season ticket holder, as it stands, she would get the concession price in her seat, as it stands. Now, the point is, if there's not a campaign against this, will the club come next year and say there aren't any concessions at all?
Yeah.
I don't know. But notwithstanding that, Helen, as it stands, you would be able to retain your current seat.
Yeah. And I think this is one of those things where if it doesn't affect you, it doesn't mean you don't back it. So it doesn't directly affect me directly. It indirectly affects me through my father. But if it doesn't directly affect you, it doesn't mean you ignore it. And this is a clear message I'd like to get out to anyone who does watch the West Ham Network. Please get behind the petition. All it takes is for you to sign on the dotted line. I think there's a couple of people in here said they've already signed the petition while we've been on live. Kai is saying, signed the petition, but got emails telling me to confirm. Went through the links then to confirm my email addresses. Still not sure if my signature's gone through properly, though. All I could say to you, Kai, is just make sure you do follow all the recent emails just to go in and double check.
Can I make a point to Helen, please? My eyesight's terrible. I couldn't see a photo of Helen. I knew there was one there, so I apologise. But it could be at some stage that Helen wants to take children, grandchildren, nephews, nieces, whatever. Even though she will get, as it stands, the concession price, they would not. So then she'd have a dilemma. Does she move down to band 5 or 6 to get the cheap ticket for the children or the friends she wants to add on? And then she would be classed as a new season ticket holder with them. So she'd have to move with them to get the cheap price. See where I'm coming from?
Yep, absolutely.
I think what a lot of people aren't grasping is that. Sorry, I've got another question. Okay,
well, this is a good point I just wanted to bring up here. So if you are on the waiting list, which supposedly there is around about 20,000, supposedly, whether I know I agree with you on that, Paul, I don't believe there is either. But if you're on the waiting list and then you are going to apply for your concession price, in order for you to get a concession price, you're only looking at band 5 and band 6 as an option for a concession price. What we are now saying is your concession price has been removed, band 1 to band 4. So you will not have an option to get a concession price from band 1 to band 4 as a new season ticket holder. You will only be forced 5 or 6, which is up in the gods of the stadium. So that is the option. And then, as Paul has mentioned, if that becomes unaffordable, then you drop out of that list and it goes to the next person. And then what we've done is we've lost that kind of nurturing of West Ham, the local community club that look after our family. And as people have been pointing out, it feels like it's an aim and push towards. I'm not saying this is the reason. It's like it feels like an aim towards the tourist, the corporate move, moving forward. So
there's no way there's 20,000 on the list.
No,
I really wouldn't take any notice of that. Absolutely
no
way.
Yeah. Adam has said, please sign this because we need to get this stopped. Hi Paul, keep doing what you're doing, geez. That is from Adam. So plenty of people in the chat, a lot of people getting behind it. So please do, Paul. I'm not going to keep you for much longer. I appreciate you taking the time to come out. I've got a clear understanding of the situation. I hope everyone in chat has a clear understanding of the situation, and I will reiterate one more time, even if this does not directly affect you, back it, because it affects part of our family, part of the West Ham family. It affects a lot of people, so back it if you can. There's no hidden agendas. It's straight to the point. We need to back our West Ham family to protect our club and everything that we can do as well. Kent Hammers has said, pricing out the next generation West Ham fans if this does go ahead. Any final words, Paul?
No, you spoke very well, and I'm very grateful for your support. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We always stuck together. We always looked after our own. So let's just do what we do best. Support our own, spread the word, and this will be massive. Thank you.
Yep,
Thanks for
it
having
will
me on.
be. Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Take it easy, and I'll be in touch after this as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Okay.
Paul.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy. Bye bye. So there you go, everyone. I hope that gives you a bit of an insight. I will put the link to the petition in the description below. So please do take the time to go and sign it as well. Please back it as much as you possibly can. That brings an end to today's little cheeky live show. Hope you found it interesting. It's not nice, it's not great, and it kind of confirms a lot of things that I feel about certain people within the club. But hey ho, unfortunately, it is what it is. So get behind the petition. I'll put the link to the petition again if I can find it, which will go right here. For anyone that doesn't know, then that will be there. Take it easy, everyone, and come on, your irons.